FIFA, or what we now call a EAFC franchise, is far from a perfect game. We're often quick to point out the things that are wrong with it. Inconsistent gameplay, microtransactions, lack of innovation, neglecting certain game modes. The list can go on forever, really. And these are things that are still and probably will be present during FC 25, which is the newest iteration of the game. But something that we, the FIFA community, tend to never point out is ourselves. That's right. The FIFA community itself is just as much of a problem to the overall franchise as many of the other problems that I just listed out. And please just hear me out. And also, of course, the majority of the things that I'm going to be talking about revolve around Ultimate Team, since this is still their main game mode both commercially and from a player-based standpoint. This is the main draw for FIFA and EAFC, regardless of what we like to think or not. So you may be thinking to yourself, there's no way I myself am a problem to the game. I just log on every day, respectfully play the game, open my packs, complete my SBCs, and call it a day. And if that's true, if that's really 100% true, then sure, fine, I'll give you a pass. But it's everyone else that I'm talking about. Even myself, we're all guilty of contributing to so many things that's wrong with the game. Now, granted, there's definitely things that are 100% out of our control from a player-based standpoint. It wouldn't be fair to point the finger at the players for the bad gameplay and the glitches in what is ultimately an unfinished game that we tend to get every year, because frankly, we're not developers, are we? However, in just a couple of days of FC 25 being available via the Ultimate Edition pre-order or EA Play's 10-hour trial, we're already starting to see the FIFA community revert straight back to its normal ways. And of course, boys, if you're new to the channel, don't forget to leave a like, comment, subscribe. Dropping weekly videos on the channel, so make sure you hit that notification bell, you don't miss an upload. And if you're not new to the channel, boys, welcome back. Glad to have you around for another video. And many of you know, right, I've made tons of FIFA videos on my channel, FIFA and FC 24. Now we're talking about FC 25, so I'm more than credited to talk about this situation here. With that being said, boys, let's talk about how the community is already starting to show bad signs for this new FIFA game. So granted, to be playing the game a week early via whatever method you decided to get the game by, you have to be a person that is pretty dedicated to FIFA. So that can partially go into explaining the things that we've already been seeing, but that still doesn't excuse the behavior as a whole. One of the biggest things for me that the FIFA community is constantly doing to the detriment of the overall gameplay experience is repeatedly blasting out and searching for the most meta things to do, regardless of what it is. See, every single year, there's something in the game that is overpowered, especially at the beginning of the year. And oftentimes, whatever it is ends up being overpowered for the entire year, or at least partially or half of the year, because EA doesn't tend to fix these type of things. Whether it's a glitch like Trickster Plus in FC 24, an actual mechanic like the El Tornado spamming in FIFA 19, or formation/tactic like the 71 depth in FC 24, there's always something that people just find to be an incredibly efficient way of scoring or getting the best of your opponent. And the FIFA community, like rats to cheese, always flock to whatever the most ratty possible thing to do is. Always, without a shadow of a doubt, you will see large portions of the community just flock to whatever the most meta thing is. Another thing, in FIFA 23, the lengthy meta. Once everyone discovered that lengthy was the thing to do, you would come up every single game against someone who was using a lengthy striker. We do this every single year. And it also doesn't help that you have countless pros and content creators attempting to get a mass amount of views by just publicizing whatever the new hot ratty tactic is. But there's always just so many people playing the same exact way because everyone wants to try and maximize the amount of games that they're winning by any means necessary. And this is 100% a symptom of the overall feel that gaming has just become way too competitive of a space. But the FIFA experience is one that drastically suffers from this. Football is a very competitive sport, and you put it into a video game which is now a space where everyone wants to just be the best, you can imagine what type of things are going to happen. For example, last year if you played 10 games of Ultimate Team, there's a good chance that 9 out of 10 of those people would all probably be rocking the same exact tactic, which means game after game you're just playing against the same exact type of person without fail. Because of how EA have pretty much set up their games, and because of all these creators and all this stuff, and everyone wants to be the best, everyone's just playing the same way. And on FC 25 you already have people blasting out what the next best meta is. My boys, it has only been 4 to 5 days. Let's give it a rest, okay? The game just came out, there's all these new tactical features. Just try something new. This is literally your chance to try and play football the way you want to. Everyone wants to be the next Anders, so we all just copy whatever we think will get us the most wins, regardless of how we actually individually see football. No one likes to play tiki-taka, no one attempts to create their own vision or their lineups to try and create patterns of play, because everyone just wants to do whatever's meta. It doesn't matter. And again, a lot of this does also come down to how EA designs their games. When it comes to the gameplay, it's a very bad design, which often rewards these ratty styles of play and makes everything else pretty ineffective. That part isn't on the players, it's not our fault the game is designed this way. But that still doesn't mean that we all have to do each other dirty and constantly use the same brain dead and lame tactics that everyone is already using. Which kind of brings me to my next topic as well, which is the fact that everyone is more than content to just play like a rat. There's so much toxic behavior in the FIFA community to the point where you can tell exactly what type of person's on the other side of the screen just by how they're playing the game. And I'm not talking about just the competitive feeling that we get from playing a football game like we see from the likes of Nick Run the Foot Market. If you're playing FIFA, you're playing Division Rivals, Foot Champs, you're probably a competitive person. So granted, right, you're gonna get a little frustrated, you're gonna get a little angry, especially like I said, when the gameplay isn't going your way, you get a little bit frustrated. That's not exactly what I'm talking about. I'm talking about the guys who boot up FIFA, get set up in their chair, headset on, G fueled by their side, and then proceed to hop into match after match after match and just pull out the biggest drop back sweat fest of their lives every single time. And realistically, because of how much we tend to just copy and paste the same ratty tactics, this is the majority of FIFA players nowadays. They love to gritty after goals, they love to quit matches when your opponent gets an equalizing goal, regardless of whatever minute or what game mode they might be in. They love to pause the game after scoring a goal to try and convince you to quit the match, and they love to send you dumb messages after the game, regardless of if they won or not. Everyone is super content to just play this way. See, this is behavior that we see all the time while playing foot, and over time, this is stuff that just gradually drives us off the game. If we're going into this next cycle of FIFA and we're all again just copying the same ratty tactics and continuing the same behaviors as before, the overall gaming experience of FIFA and foot is gonna just feel the same as it has been for the last couple of years. And then you pair all this up with the fact that people in the foot community are just so ready to play like assholes. It's a recipe for a disaster. I want you to think about how many times over the last handful of years you've come up against someone who constantly passes the ball around the back. They go down one flank the entire game looking to do a cutback goal, play a 5-back the entire match, do a corner glitch every single time they get the opportunity, and then you start to realize, again, it's the majority of players that do this. That specifically is not a result of EA making a bad game. The gameplay might be bad. Granted, yes, it might be too slow for some people, passing might not be exactly how you want it to be, maybe skills aren't the most effective, but EA is not forcing us to do these type of things. They're not putting a gun to our heads and telling people go down the line every time and pass it around the back and waste time against your opponent in Division Rivals on a Tuesday morning just because, right? EA is not telling us to do that. These are all conscious choices being made by us, people in the FIFA community, because we want to try and win by any means necessary, right? So when you think about it, there's so many things wrong with the community. We're always trying to play the same exact ratty tactics from one person to another. We're always playing like absolute little ass and passing it around the back, doing corner glitches and stuff like that just because we can. And we're all just being rats, right? We just have to accept the fact that so many people in the community just love to play like rats. We as a FIFA community need to do better. FC 25 at the moment, and just a couple of days of being out, is pretty much a hit or miss for a lot of people. The gameplay does feel different from last year. There's different tactical settings, there's changes to evolution, and the new rush integration is pretty good and all, and maybe enough to win people over the course of the year. But if we as a community just continue to fall into the same terrible habits throughout the entire cycle, then as a whole, we're literally just going to feel the same way we felt about this game over the last 5 or 6 years of the previous titles. We got to do better. We got to hold ourselves accountable. You too. We're all accountable. Me, you, all of us.